Both Marconi's daughter, Princess Elettra, and his grandson, Francesco Pereschi Marconi, a distinguished physicist and astronomer, as well as former chairman of the Marconi Society. Welcome to both of you. The first Marconi Prize was awarded in 1975 in Washington, D.C. To James Killian, the legendary 10th president of the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and was presented by the Vice President of the United States. Over the years, we've held our annual prize giving and gala dinner in many locations around the world, including here in London, the last time being in 2008, when I know several of you were here, when I was honoured in this way. Today we had a remarkable symposium. I have to tell you, speakers, that this was one of the best that I have ever been to. It had impressive group of participants, both on the panel and in the audience, and a lively debate full of controversy, which I love. Went on to congratulate you on all your contributions. I think I might finally have understood what the Internet of Things is, but I may be wrong. So before we start tonight's program, I'd like to introduce a number of our fellows, young scholars, special guests. First, and I'd like you to stand as I call your name, our distinguished Marconi Fellows. Bob Church. Bob was honoured for his work on optical fibre transmission. Andy Kraplevy. Also honoured for his work on optical fibre transmission. Bob Kahn. For the development of ARPANET and its success of the Internet. John Cioffi. For digital subscriber line that probably powers your broadband connection. Federico Fagan. For the implementation of the microprocessor. Rogyaswamy Palraj. For implementing multiple antennas that maximize data speed in wireless connections, powering a mobile phone. Vint Cerf. For technical achievements and ambassadorial leadership in the creation of the Internet. And of course, as many of you will know, he is the Vice Chairman of the Marconi Society and Chief Internet Evangelist of Google. We'll be hearing from him shortly. Sir Eric Ashe. For surface acoustic wave devices. Now, one of the most important initiatives that we've undertaken in the Marconi Society over the last decade or so is our work to promote young engineers and scientists, to help them to develop careers at least as good, if not better, than those of our fellows. There's an old saying that we academics use, which is, may your students be better than you are. And I think that's certainly going to be true of our Marconi Young Fellows. We have 6 here tonight, and I'd like them to stand up similarly, please. And we also have 3 new ones that will be honoured tonight, and you will meet them shortly. So let's start with our existing fellows. Joe Kakande. Joe was incidentally a student at my university and is now a Marconi board member. How, Joe? How is now Secretary and Treasurer of the Marconi Society, so you do believe in bringing on people. Eric Plum. Sebastian Sudan. Dominic Lavery. And Salvatore Compione. So thank you guys, and I'm really pleased that you could make it. The other board members of the Marconi Society who are here, Andrea Goldsmith. Thank you, Andrea, and Zvi Galevich. In addition, I'd like to recognize some other distinguished guests that we have here tonight. Minister Councillor Sunan Jiang of the People's Republic of China. The Minister Councillor is particularly welcome here, of course, at the start of President Xi Jinping's visit to the UK. And perhaps not all of you know this, but the President and the Queen drove past us today, and we were typical geeks, all sitting in. Unfortunately, President Xi Jinping couldn't join us tonight because he had a prior engagement at Buckingham Palace. Food's probably better here. And Sir David Delpy, Chair of the Defence Scientific Advisory Council and past Chief Executive Officer of the Engineering and Physical Sciences Research Council. Welcome, David. So it remains for me simply to thank our sponsors for today's symposium and the Young Scholars Poster Session, the Internet Society, Cisco, and BT. And would their representatives please stand up? And a very, very special thanks to Sigrid and Vinsurf for their extraordinary, exceptional sponsorship of tonight's dinner. So thank you, Vin. So that concludes my opening remarks, and I'm standing between you and dinner, I know that. So you'll be hearing during, I think it's the third course, we will be hearing from Bob Cash introducing our new young Marconi fellows.
First, selecting the young scholars is always a challenge because we get excellent nominations, and we have a committee who does the work of selecting the young scholars. I just want to acknowledge them all here. Ramesh Rao, David Richardson is actually here, Dennis Robertson, Henry Sanguali, Sergio Badou, and Will Lin. And this has been a very difficult and challenging process, and this year has been no exception. We had over, I guess, nearly 20 candidates, and any one of them would have been incredible worthy. Nobody really deserves the award to. But these three rose to the top. And what I'd like to do now is to show you a video that will introduce you to these candidates, and we'll call them up after that. So if we can roll the video. I think the three categories in which we have evaluate our young scholars are in the quality of their academic achievements, their research achievements, and what we call entrepreneurship, which is a little difficult, although in Ken's case, obviously, he's involved in a startup company now, but many students are not yet involved in companies or, in fact, real products. But it's sort of more a question of, do they have that drive to make an impact? And have they evinced that drive to make an impact somehow in their work? And each of these three have done so. And as I said, the committee works very hard to try to decide who the right ones would be. But I just wanted to mention their names and what they are cited for. I was going to hand them the gifts, but I guess. So, Joseph Lukens for secure optical communications, including temporal cloaking and pulse shaping technology. Ken Casina for centimeter accuracy GPS and for smartphone positioning. And Kartik Venkat for theory and practice of modern information processing, bringing communication theory approaches to applications in estimation and bioinformatics.
Thank you very much, Bob, and congratulations to our new award winners. I would like now to run a video of our new Marconi Fellow winner. As you know, tonight's dinner, as well as our symposium today, honors our 2015 Marconi Fellow, Professor Peter Kirstein. I hope you enjoy this profile video about his extraordinary career and his achievements. I've known Peter since 1967, and he's been a dear friend and a great contributor. So, run video. It's on the dais, and I would like to invite Sir David Payne, Sir Eric Ashe, Francesco Parescia, and Principessa Elettra to join me on the stage, please. You might like to sit down. Yes, well, I need a touch of social. I'd like now to introduce Francesco Parescia, the grandson of Guglielmo Marconi and nephew of Gioia Marconi Braga, who founded the Marconi Society, as you heard earlier this evening. It's a deep honor and simply delightful to have members of Marconi's family here with us to celebrate his achievements, which were and still are, and how telecommunications continues to profoundly impact the world. I should like now to introduce Francesco Parescia. Francesco.
Well, as a space physicist, I feel overwhelmed by this crowd of incredible, competent people in a realm of science that I don't know very much, but I hope you will be patient with what I have to say. I would start by thanking the organizers, and especially David and Hattie and Shannon, for allowing me to share with you a few remarks about the one person to whom I think we all here owe the pleasure of being here this evening. And that is, can I have the picture. That's there. And it's, the lady I'm talking about is this young girl, which is hugging her father, which I assume you know who he is after all this time. And what I wanted to say about her is the following, that I think we all know by now that Marconi is certainly established quite a lot, that he is a father of wireless telegraphy, as they used to call it, or wireless communications. But today, essentially a technique that connects us all together, all over the planet. And by means of especially the ubiquitous cell phone, which I'm sure most of you have in your pocket right now, probably haven't switched off. I haven't switched off mine. I hope nobody calls me that. And of course, the internet. And I think it is no coincidence that our this year's fellow is Peter Gerstein, that is, as we have just heard, a fantastic pioneer of the internet. And I'm really proud that I'm here to speak about him. Now, the breakthrough of Guglielmo Marconi, I think, allows us today, if you think about it, a lot of things that were unthinkable just a few years ago. For example, we heard from one of the junior fellows about the GPS, about the 1 centimeter precision of a GPS. Now, imagine if that were possible without wireless communications, or your ability to travel freely in planes, for example, or to explore the solar system, as we've been doing lately, without wireless communication. So I think this we all know now, and it's very important. But there's also a facet of Marconi that we don't know very well, and that is why he did this, why he pursued relentlessly this objective of finding a working system of wireless communication. And I think Joya, this girl here, and if I can have the next slide, when she was our chairman of the Marconi Society, understood it perfectly well. And that was that the force behind his work was the fact that he wished at all times to work to find a solution to a problem that would, in its solution, benefit all of humanity. And as David said at the very beginning, that's why she insisted so much on the fact that the winner ought to be somebody that was going to work for the benefit of all humanity. And it's indeed true that, in effect, Marconi was a great lover of the sea and the Navy, and his first attack of the problem was due to the fact that he felt that once a ship left port and went beyond the horizon, it was lost, essentially. Nobody knew what happened to it, where it was, and the people that were on the boat had no idea of what was going on around them. And that was also something, of course, that created quite a few problems. And as you know clearly, from the Titanic and all these cases we're very knowledgeable about, his wireless system saved lives. Not only was it useful, but it really had an imprint of that time. So this force, essentially, that propelled Marconi was the similar force that propelled Joya, this lady here, to create the Marconi International Fellowship, as it was called at the beginning. And because of this idea, the way it was structured is very different from today. because it was actually a fellowship. The idea of it was to give a person, the fellow, the possibility of leaving his normal work, everyday work, and spending a year thinking through his breakthrough and how it would have benefited humanity. And that he would report back at the next prize meeting on what he had found. And this worked reasonably well for a few years. And then, of course, the reality set in that not all of us have time nor the wish to think profoundly about these things, but I assume that people do and have and will in a certain sense. But I wanted to explain to you what I thought the basic idea of Gioia was to create this this fellowship. It then, of course, it changed its name to Marconi Society, and all of that is important. But the fundamental point that we see on the, I believe, the wonderful yoga is the inscription of Ingegno pro bono humanitatis. That is the reason that Gioia worked so hard to obtain. Now, I think that definitely Gioia would be extremely proud that this prize went to Peter, because obviously he's following very much into the tradition of that she thought was extremely important. And so, in this sense, she would be, I think, quite happy to be here and to see your work. I can't resist, and I know Hattie will get upset, by mentioning two things that I remember very clearly were different from today. Gioia had lots of clout, and so the prize at her time were given by very important people. And I remember the last time I was here in London, a long time ago, with her, the prize was given by the Duke of Edinburgh. And I met the Duke of Edinburgh after the prize, and we were chatting away, and at a certain point he said, well, yes, I understand all the information that's passing through our lives that's coming from radio and blah, blah, blah. But one thing I don't understand, where is the wisdom that's being transferred from one place to the other? And everybody laughed, and but then I could keep thinking about it. That's not such a stupid idea, actually. As E.O. Wilson was thought to say, we're drowning in information, but starving for wisdom. So it's very similar to what the Duke of Edinburgh. The last thing I wanted to mention is I was sitting at a table during, when I was chairman of this wonderful society, and I had next to me Sergey Brin on one side, and Larry Page. And I remember perfectly that it was just before their IPO, and Larry turned to me and said, well, it's a wonderful society that you have, and thank you for giving us the prize. By the way, they paid for it, which is interesting. But would you be interested in buying some of our stock, which at the time was really difficult to buy? And I said, well, yes, I'd be very interested. And so I brought this up to I think it was a committee, maybe Federico, and we all said, nah. I'm sure it's not going to go in. It's not going to go anywhere. Well, now, of course, we're 600 here. I think we would be millionaires by now. But anyway, I thank you for your kind listening to this, what I said about that. Just one last slide that I had might give you the flavor of the group. This was in Bologna. Your group, the way it was, what was it, in 1994 or something like that. And you can see all the younger members of this crowd. Many of you can see who you are. And Gioia was right in the middle of it. So I'm glad that I can say something about Gioia and we can celebrate her achievement too. Thank you very much.
So I would like now to ask Sir Eric Ashe to join us at the lectern. Sir Eric, the floor is yours.
Well, let me start by saying that the reason why I've been invited to contribute to this occasion is not because I know anything about computers or joining them up and making them sing to each other. I think the reason why I've been invited is that I think I've known Peter Kirstein longer, probably than anybody else in this room. I don't know exactly how long it was, but certainly over half a century. Now, when we first met, Peter was not as yet, as far as I remember, intimate with computers. In fact, he was intimate with electron beams and trying to find out where they would go. And this turns out to be a very tough analytical question, and there's very little analysis which has been done on electron beams, but it could be done, and the proof is that Peter got a PhD doing it and wrote a celebrated book about it as well. But computers came later. I was asked today by last year's Marconi fellow, Professor Parlage, whether I'd ever been Peter's boss. I said, absolutely not. And I can give two good reasons why that would have been impossible. The first is we were actually close colleagues at University College. Peter was running the computer science department, and I was looking after EE. We were close colleagues and collaborated quite a bit on the educational scene. The other reason why that idea would have been totally impossible was Peter's never had a boss. With the possible exception of Gwen. I don't think Peter would know what to do with a boss. That's probably why he never had one. Now, we've heard a lot about Peter's many contributions earlier today, and in fact in that film, which that video I thought was really very good. Although we've heard a lot, and we've seen many papers that he's written together, and with people like Vint Cerf and Bob Garn, the thing that I think stands out most is the fact that he created a situation in University College where he established a link with ARPA, or maybe ARPA established a link with him, and as a result created a situation where all the information on the internet, first of all, came to the UK via Peter Kirstein's outlet. Now, this is really quite an extraordinary idea, because after all, the United States isn't in the far wild west, well, it is in the west, but it's not that remote, and we do know what goes on in the United States. And indeed, as early as 1866, there was the first telegraph under the Atlantic, so one could communicate. So one might have thought that if good things were happening in the United States, there would be many different means by which they would be transmitted to the UK and to Europe. It should have been easy, because the internet was a marvelous idea. It should have been easy to do. Well, it wasn't easy to do. And in fact, the resistance to anything like was, as always, one that was difficult to overcome. And Peter established a collaboration and created a computer node with direct access to the internet, an arrangement which continued for a long time, at least a couple of decades. And during this time, not only universities in the UK and some in the EU, but certain government departments enjoyed their link with the internet and via a computer located in a very ordinary couple of rooms, I think it was, in the University College. What seems so bizarre that it happened, was sustained for such a long time after all. America was not so remote, and there should have been other ways in which it could have been done. But it didn't happen naturally. It required the imagination, the initiative, and one talented person to bring it about. One could actually say that Peter discovered America.
Well, I don't think I'm going to try to top that. Thank you, Sir Eric. You must understand something, that when Bob Kahn started this internet program and drew Peter into it, I think he and I both concluded that we would fight to the last drop of Peter's blood. And Peter donated regularly to the cause, for which we are most grateful, Peter. Well, it is now my pleasure to invite Principessa Elettra to the lecture.
It is a great pleasure to be here with you this evening, and I first of all like to thank Sir David Payne for having invited me to give the Marconi Prize to Professor Peter Christen. Well, I'm here with great enthusiasm, also because I saw all the young men who have been very clever to follow my father's steps. And so I always encourage the young people, and I prefer to speak with the young people about my father and his achievements. I go around the world to speak about my father, but I'm very moved this evening to speak with you here in London. We were very grateful to England that helped him to develop his invention. And then, of course, I have the same passion of my father for the sea, and I have also his character. And my mother was always telling me, because she remained 57 years a widow, with her great love for my father, and she was telling me that I have his reactions, and I have also a little his temper sometimes. Anyway, I want to say how much I appreciate the work and the wonderful achievements of Professor Peter Christen. And I'm sure that he's been fighting his life like my father. He had difficult times. I know how hard it is, because my father suffered a lot in his life, and he's always said that the best reward was when he went to the docks in New York to receive the survivors of the Titanic in tears, kissing him, embracing him. And then what I like also to remember that I have a son who's called Guglielmo, like my father. My father called me Elettra for his yacht Elettra, and I'm very happy about this because I love my father and I love the sea. My son is Guglielmo, and he added the name Marconi. He is very proud of his grandfather, and he speaks also in a nice way. I'm very happy to have him. And of course, I'm always ready to speak to you about my father, about his last inventions on board the yacht Elettra that I witnessed. That is line navigation, which is a radar, and also the parabolic antenna. And Captain Neil Armstrong said to my mother, if it wasn't for your father, I would have never gone to the moon. And then also the last invention of my father, that it was the extraction of gold from the seawater. And I remember these threads of gold, that he was showing me. I was a little girl, I was jumping with joy and praising my father. And he couldn't complete it because he died suddenly and he had destroyed the equipment. But anyway, my father gave his life really to save people's lives and also to improve the benefit of humanity. Thank you very much.
Right, well, it gives me the greatest of pleasure that on behalf of the board of the Marconi Society Fellows to award to you, Peter Kirstein, for pioneering contributions to computer networking and for leadership in bringing the internet to Europe. We award you the 2015 Marconi Prize.
Well, if I may say a very few words. First of all, I feel very honored to be joining this Society's fellowship and certainly feel in no way comparable to your father, his great achievements. Luckily, there's very little I need say, thanks to the excellent film, who together contributed so much to making it possible for this endeavor of connecting the internet to happen at all. And finally, there was one part of the film which I would like to apologize for. When I say the lady who provided the equipment from Cisco, I should have said my roommate, purely platonic, of course, Jane Butler, who is sharing an office with me now at University College. But anyway, thank you all, thank you very much for this honor, which I really appreciate. And it's a very great pleasure that I join as fellow of the Marconi Society. Thank you.
So the formalities have come to a close and dessert is now on its way. So please relax, enjoy the rest of the evening, and thank you very much again for helping us to honor Professor Peter Kirstein, the latest Marconi Fellow.